What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, dude. As you guys know, Samsung just released their Galaxy S10. I'm sure you guys know that. I've had like 1.4 people text me right now. They're like, yo, why are you not at this event? Why didn't you come, this and that? And honestly, Samsung didn't invite me, man. And I just think Samsung didn't want a real one there. I don't think they want the future CEO of Apple. I've said this in another video too, but I'm gonna say it again. I think it'd be a conflict of interest. Totally joking. I think I'm gonna go next year. I'm probably gonna get at them. Hopefully I'll add them on Twitter, DM them. Hopefully they'll take me, man. I really want to go. I don't know what they're so afraid of, but I want to do a quick comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S10 and the iPhone XS. Now, literally no one has gotten their hands on the Galaxy S10 yet, especially me, so this is going to be a quick impressions, like what I think. You know, I've covered almost every single Samsung Galaxy S phone, every single iPhone. I've owned every single one of those, so I feel like in a way I can make a judgment and an assumption here, and I'll tell you right now, okay, and a lot of you guys aren't going to like this, and me personally, I do use an iPhone as a main phone. I use Apple everything, so this is coming from an Apple user. Samsung really did a tremendous job this year by dropping the Galaxy S10. I really do think the Galaxy S10 is a much better phone overall than the iPhone XS, and it is a much bigger upgrade overall that Samsung did with this lineup than what they did previously. And even with Apple, I think the Galaxy S10 is a better upgrade to the Galaxy S9 than the iPhone XS was to the iPhone X or even the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. And just starting off with the bodies themselves, they're both almost somewhat similar in size. I mean, the Galaxy S10 is a little bit bigger. The iPhone XS had a 5.8-inch screen. That one was also super AMOLED, so that's really cool, versus the Galaxy S10 where it's a 6.1-inch panel, so of course it's going to be a little bit bigger on the Galaxy S10. But here's the cool thing, the Galaxy S10 also has a higher PPI on their screen, and it's technically higher resolution, 1440p versus 1125p on the iPhone XS. So between the screens themselves, the iPhone XS does kind of have a little bit of a worse screen, but it's still not that bad though. Like if you're using these like just as normal phones, you're not going to notice that much of a difference, I'll be honest. I will say the iPhone XS does have Force Touch and True Tone display. Really cool thing, but the Galaxy S10 has an always on display, and I think between these two, I like the way the Galaxy S10 looks way more than the iPhone XS. And here's the biggest thing I want to hit on, dude. I was going to say this at the end of the video, but I'm going to say it now. The Samsung Galaxy S10 has an inbuilt fingerprint sensor in the screen, where the iPhone XS has no fingerprint sensor, and they're kind of behind in that. I mean, I know they have Face ID, but I would way prefer a fingerprint sensor than having Face ID, and I really do think Apple is going to bring that this year. So that's super cool on the Galaxy S10. Hopefully they do bring that, and hopefully Apple does bring that with next year's iPhone or this year's, whatever. They're both IP68 dust and water resistance, and there's a lot of similarities here, but again, the Galaxy S10 in my opinion is pretty good. In terms of software, they're both supported. They're different Android, iOS, so there's no point even talking about it there. The performance aspect of it though, I'll tell you what the iPhone has, I'll tell you what the Galaxy S10 has. There's really no way to overlap it, but I'll try my best to kind of make sense to you. The iPhone XS has the Apple A12 Bionic chip, which is the latest one, a hexa-core CPU, and 4 gigs of RAM, where the Galaxy S10 has an Exynos 9820 octa chipset, an octa-core CPU, and 8 gigs of RAM. And what I'll tell you is, both these phones are super fast. They're both very, very fast phones, but in my opinion, I really do think the Galaxy S10 will have overall better performance than the iPhone XS. Again, I will have to use it and thoroughly test it to make that assumption. But at the same time, I do think the iPhone XS is still a very fast phone, and I don't really think if you upgrade to a Galaxy S10 or something like that, you're going to be upgrading just for the speed itself. If the Galaxy S10, this is my assumption, in my opinion only, the Galaxy S10 was like a 10 out of 10, no pun intended. The iPhone XS is probably going to be like a 9 out of 10, like it's still going to be very, very fast, but it's still crazy, man. The Galaxy S10 has twice the amount of RAM as the iPhone XS, and I know RAM isn't everything, and iOS and Android handle RAM differently. I'll still, at the end of the day, have more RAM than not enough RAM, so just kind of wanted to hit on that aspect of it. And I kind of want to move on to the camera too. This is pretty interesting because the iPhone XS and XS Max at this time probably had the best cameras in the market, but now the Galaxy S10, not only did it bring a newer sensor, a 16 megapixel main sensor, the Galaxy S10 now has 3 cameras on the back. So it has 2 12 megapixel sensors and a 4th 16 megapixel sensor too, which is super crazy, versus the iPhone XS where it had dual 12 megapixel sensors. And here's a problem with iPhones in general, especially the cameras. They don't necessarily have that many features, okay? Now I know they have portrait mode and studio lighting, all that stuff, but I think that Samsung, even since like the Galaxy S5 or Galaxy S4, they just packed so many features into their cameras, and it's just super crazy. And I really do think Samsung, not even in terms of just the way the photos look, but just the features that the cameras have inside of them, I mean, that is super crazy. And I've been saying it for so long, like if iOS and Apple could just go and put more features in the cameras, that's really all we need to make the iPhone cameras that much better. But for some reason, Apple just puts all their camera settings in the settings app, which for no reason, and they just make it too confusing. But Samsung, in terms of the hardware, you can do ultra wide panoramas, all sorts of different little things. And I literally can't wait to get my hands on it to test it thoroughly. So super crazy stuff right there too. They both can shoot 4K video at up to 60 frames per second and 1080p at up to 240 frames per second as well. So in terms of that, they're pretty similar. So pretty cool there. The front cameras are a little bit different as well. We have a 7 megapixel camera on the iPhone XS and a 10 megapixel front facing camera on the Galaxy S10. And surprisingly, you can shoot 1080p at up to 60 frames per second on the front camera on the iPhone XS. But the funny thing is that you can actually shoot 4K videos on the Galaxy S10 camera on the front one, which is super crazy. You know, I haven't seen a lot of front cameras on mobile phones shooting 4K. So super cool. I have a lot of respect for Samsung for doing that. And I just realized that if you flip the letters in the XS, it actually turns into S10. So could it be the iPhone S10? Who knows? Conspiracy? I don't know. Now I kind of want to hit on the battery life too, and I really want to praise Samsung here, and I want to take a hit on iPhone and Apple in general. Apple does this tendency where they'll increase the battery size one year, then they'll decrease, then increase, decrease, and they're really just kind of staying at the same battery size. They never really increase it. But Samsung has done a really good job at kind of increasing here and there. Sometimes they decrease it for dumb reasons, but they end up increasing it over time or staying the same at least. And Samsung actually increased it from a 3000 mAh battery to a 3400 mAh battery. So that is super, super cool. I'm so happy they did that. Apple, on the other hand, it has a 2658 mAh battery, and I don't think it's a horrible battery life overall. My iPhone XS, when I had it, it wasn't bad at all, but definitely speaking, the Galaxy S10 will do you much better in terms of the battery life than the iPhone XS. And in my opinion, mostly because of the bigger sized battery. And of course, I would have software optimize the battery too, but I would rather have both software optimizing battery and a bigger size than a smaller battery size and software just doing the job, you know what I mean? Now, some other notable things to note, the Galaxy S10 has a super, super cool feature where you can do reverse wireless charging, which is insane. The iPhone XS does not support it. Apparently, there is a rumor that the newer iPhone is, but that's still super crazy that the Galaxy S10 is able to reverse wirelessly charge a device. You can charge an iPhone if you wanted to from the Galaxy S10. You still have the micro SD card slot support, so that's super, super cool as well. And I'll tell you right now, man, if you own an iPhone XS, I would probably not recommend upgrading to a Galaxy S10. That's a lot of money to spend on a very marginal upgrade. But I will say that if it was between these two, and if it's from my bird's eye viewpoint of owning every single Galaxy S phone and owning every single iPhone, I can definitely tell that the Galaxy S10 is a bigger upgrade overall to the whole lineup of even just phones in general than the iPhone XS was. And I feel like the Galaxy S10 is really going to pave the way and force manufacturers to start pushing bigger batteries and better looking phones and more premium feeling phones and just things like that. I mean, they were even still able to keep the headphone jack on the Galaxy S10 where they removed it on the iPhone XS. They removed it on the iPhone 7 forever ago. So overall, I like the Samsung Galaxy S10 and I like the iPhone XS, but it was between these two. From the first impressions, I do think the Galaxy S10 is a better phone overall, man. But that is pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think though. Do you think the Galaxy S10 is better? Do you think the iPhone XS is better? Again, we're going to have to get these phones in the house to test it, but I really do think the Galaxy S10 has something going for it. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I would really, really appreciate if you guys could check it out, but more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.